Honestly, what intrigues me the most about these sessions is how people have to make real-time decisions that are very different from what they've worked on all week.
Yeah.
And that's what I look forward to, because I can work on something really hard and come up here and kind of approximate what I was thinking, but to actually come up with something new and try to present it, yeah, I like doing that.
Yeah, because...
And I like seeing other people do it too.
Well, you know, the thing is that in the investigation, in the preparation, you really have to employ these various techniques that I'm sure Joe has been talking to you about, like, you know, finding out where the counterpoint is, where a dramatic suspension could be useful, understanding the rhythms. Those things are what will allow you to be free enough after the preparation to be able to change in the sessions that we have together, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you reach a boundary condition by yourself and or with Joe, and then we come to these sessions and we bust through and create another higher boundary condition. We push to the next boundary condition, which was, you know, which is a qualitatively higher conception of the sonnet that we came in with, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we're going to do now, hopefully, is bust through a boundary condition.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you're ready.
Okay.
The thing is, chances though, you don't want to keep busting through the same boundary condition, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's one of the big problems that we used to have, that people would come back not having progressed because they just didn't believe in or didn't have the stamina to make the technique an ingrained way of working.
Mm-hmm.
They just didn't believe it, or they were just too lazy.
Mm-hmm.
And they were relying on sense perception. Well, you know what? It makes me feel good. I really feel this sonnet or this scene.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really into it, and so, you know, screw your technique. I really feel it. All right, here we go.
No, time, thou shalt not boast that I do change. Thy pyramids, built up with newer might, to me are nothing novel, nothing strange. They are but dressings of a former sight. Our dates are brief, and therefore we admire what thou dost foist upon us that is old, and rather make them born to our desire than think that we before have heard them told. Thy registers and thee I both defy, not wondering at the present nor the past, for thy records and what we see doth lie, made more or less by thy continual haste. This I do vow, and this shall ever be. I will be true, despite thy scythe and thee.
Okay. Very good. Very good. But I think there's a couple of phrasing points.
Mm-hmm.
And rather make them born to our desire than think. I think that's where you took a breath. No, you said then think that we before breath have heard them told. That's the way you did it.
Okay. Yeah.
And rather make them born to our desire than think, I think that's where than think, dramatic suspension, breath, that we before have heard them told. And rather make them born to our desire than think that we before have heard them told. I think that makes it clearer.
So you mean take the breath after think?
After think, the dramatic suspension after think.
And think. The we before. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Okay, that was one place.
Okay.
Thy registers and thee I both defy. So, since you're defying both, you have to reveal what the both are.
Right.
Thy
Yeah.
registers and thee I both defy. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Not wondering at the past, not wondering at the present or the past. For thy records, and what we see, right? Counterpoint to thy records and what we see, that's lie.
Mm-hmm.
Understand what I'm saying, Chance?
I think so. If I'm
This
gonna.
is clear.
Yeah.
The counterpoint. Not wondering at the present nor the past, for thy records, breath, and what we see, that's lie. What you're showing me is different from what I see.
Oh, yeah.
For thy records do lie. For thy records and what we see, that's lie. Made more or less by thy continual gaze. Okay.
That's interesting.
So this I do vow, and this shall ever be. I will be true despite thy sith and thee. I think it complicated it more than it needed to be.
Oh, yeah.
The couplet.
Okay.
Now, there's a change. There's the turn that is, thy registers and thee, I both defy. So it's defiant.
Mm-hmm.
So you're moving to that declaration of defiance. Also, pyramids is really just a metaphor, right? I mean, it doesn't have to be an edifice that has been constructed, whether it's a pyramid or a Colosseum or anything else.
Right.
It's that illusion, that delusion, right?
Yeah.
That you have built up. Okay?
Yeah.
All right. So, first of all, let's just take the couplet at the end.
Okay.
And it can be, it's such a strong statement that it can be done quietly. Doesn't have to be, because it should be different than by registers and thee, I both defy. All right? It's not the same thing. But anyway, let's see if we can get this cadence.
Okay. Let's try the couplet.
Yeah.
Okay. This I do vow, and this shall ever be.
Don't rush it.
Okay.
Because remember, we're coming to the end of the song, the end of the piece of music. And so you don't want to rush the cadence. This I do vow, and this shall ever be. Okay, here we go.
This I do vow, and this shall ever be. I will be true, despite thy scythe and thee.
Okay. I will be true. You took a nice dramatic suspension. Despite thy scythe, breath, simplified, and thee, and thee. Despite thy scythe, and thee. Instead of separating and thee. You just complicated it unnecessarily. Okay?
Okay.
It's like getting to the end of a piece of music, bum, 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 and going, bum, 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 bum. Right, it's off.
Yeah.
And that cadence there. Better not to mess with it, right? Okay.
Okay. This I do vow, and this shall ever be. I will be true, despite thy scythe and thee.
Okay, but make sure you take the breath after true, because there's no sense in taking a dramatic suspension and filling it with empty air. I will be true. I'm not breathing. I'm not doing anything. I'm sick. You've got to progress by taking a breath. I will be true. Breath. Despite thy scythe, breath, and thee. And it has to be a real breath. Just like I've made Joe take those real breaths. I see that, right? Got to be real. You can't fake it. Because no matter how well you fake it, in the small, it still reveals fakery. If you look at it through a microscope, you'll see, oh, yeah, he was faking it. All right?
Okay. This I do vow, and this shall ever be. I will be true, despite thy scythe and thee.
Isn't that better? So much easier than complicating it. Try it again. See if you can get it ingrained
Okay.
in your motor memory.
Okay. This I do vow, and this shall ever be. I will be true, despite thy scythe and thee.
Good. Doesn't that feel good?
It feels too easy. That's I think it's powerful. It's so much easier than what I was doing. It feels kind of strange, but yes, I like it.
Try it again.
Okay. This I do vow, and this shall ever be. I will be true, despite thy scythe and thee.
Yes. Because what it does, I will be true, gives us the sense of a resolution still to be had, right? A resolution in waiting. And so it adds tension, dramatic tension, which is what we need, what we want. In all of these sonnets and all of our scenes, we want to keep adding dramatic tension like you would add energy flux density, which is why the great playwrights are those that have a huge amount of energy flux density in the text. And so you're creating tension, dramatic tension, with these dramatic suspensions by suspending the resolution, which creates a tension, and then the resolution is that much more satisfying when it resolves the tension, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was good.
Hmm.
Really good, champ. Try it again. Because look, this second time, today, the way you came in was really, really well thought out, well investigated and prepared.
Okay.
And so much simpler. Because you're just living on the thought. You're living on the concrete thought. And so what we start to hear now is the beauty of it. Instead of living on the beauty and losing the concrete thought. It's the thought that creates the beauty. It's not the beauty that creates the thought.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Take it again.
From the top?
Yes.
Okay.
And here's the important thing. See, this is where I have a problem with actors, even great actors, that say they don't like doing stage because you're just repeating the same performance night after night, and how boring that is. Well, that's the wrong way to look at it. Because you're not repeating, you're creating it anew.
Mm-hmm.
You're not even recreating it, you're creating it again for the first time every night. And so there's a joy in that. You've done all the work. You've done all the work, all the preparation. And now you have the joy of presenting a great play again to an audience, a willing audience that have paid money to come in and sit down and be transported. And so you have this opportunity that is exciting to a performer. Not because, it's not boring because you're repeating the same shit. No. You're hearing it differently because you've never done it before. You see, you literally, you can never recreate it anyway. You can never repeat it the same way anyway, so why think of it in that way? You're creating it anew. And so that's where the creativity always is present in the actor, because now you have to take the audience through the story. And you have to hear the other actors again for the first time, which then makes you respond differently than you did the night before. And this is one of the things that Furtwängler was talking about. How does an orchestra live in rubato? Where does improvisation, the sense of improvisation, not improvisation itself, because that would just create chaos, but the sense of it being improvised, how do you get that? Much easier to do for a single actor and a single band of actors to do than a whole orchestra. But it's that which activates the creativity, that mission. And the same with communicating of these sonnets. So always remember, when I ask you to do it again, not to try to recreate something, but to create it as if for the first time again.
That makes a lot of sense. Because sometimes when I'm doing these things, when I think I did a good job of it, I get afraid that everything after is going to be less than that one. And so it makes sense that you shouldn't even, I mean, if anything, you should see it as building.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
But that's I mean, it's just funny because if I'm doing something like that, like if I'm reciting the sonnet and I feel like some part worked good, I start to lose my state of mind, because I'm thinking, I'm trying to already examine what worked about that so I can do that again next time.
Yeah.
as opposed to the state of mind being what shapes everything.
Right. So, you know, if you're an architect and you've built an amazing building or skyscraper or whatever, you're not afraid to do the next one because this one was so good. It's a different, right? Mm-hmm. It's a different plan entirely. So it's the joy of moving on to something else, knowing that you're capable of doing it why? Because I've become a great fucking architect. I can build it. Tell me what you want, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I may not have to tear something down and do it over again, but in the end, it will be something completely different from what I did before.
Hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right. Try it again, Chad.
Okay. No, time, thou shalt not boast that I do change. Thy pyramids, built up with newer might, to me are nothing novel, nothing strange. They are but dressings of a former sight.
Okay, hold on, Chad. So you emphasized I do change. So where's the counterpoint then?
That all the things that time has to show.
Okay, but specifically, where in the text? Specifically, you saying that I do change. Where in the text is that specific word or phrase that is counterpointed with I do change or I?
Thy is the only thing I can think of.
Yes. Yeah, so you have to then bring that counterpoint out.
Oh, yeah.
That I do change. Thy pyramids, built up with newer might to me, are nothing novel, nothing strange. They are but blessings of a former side, right?
Yeah.
Now it's clear.
Yeah.
Before it wasn't clear. Okay?
Okay. No, time, thou shalt not boast that I do change. Thy pyramids.
So hold on. Sorry, Jan. Sorry. So you know, it's got, you have such a great voice. You don't have to emphasize, inflect. That I do change. Not boast that, thou shalt not boast that I do change. Inflection instead of pounding, instead of emphasis, it's inflection.
Okay.
My country is on the my country tis of thee, right? Okay.
Okay. No, time, thou shalt not boast that I do change.
So, Jen, all right, so, look, this is detail work because you come in so, on such a high quality of preparation. No breath. Time, breath. No breath. Time. Oh, right? Make sure you take those breaths. Make sure you take those breaths.
Okay. No. Time, thou shalt not boast that I do change. Thy pyramids, built up with newer might, to me are nothing novel, nothing strange. They are but dressings of a former sight.
Of a former sight.
Of of a former sight. Of a
You see
former.
why? You see why it's they are the dressings of a former sight. I mean, sight is on the stress,
Mm-hmm.
but former is more important to the theme, because you're talking about, you know, you're trying to awe us with all this old stuff, the awe of the old pyramids and the old edifices,
Oh,
and
yeah,
the
yeah.
old sites.
Mm-hmm.
Not the sites, but the former stuff, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes
All right.
sense. Okay.
So now relax, and
Okay.
just as long as you're aware of where the counterpoint is, then just inflect to bring out the counterpoint. Don't highlight it, don't emphasize it, don't stress it, don't color it, just relax into it.
Okay. Okay. No. Time. Thou shalt not boast that I do change. Thy pyramids, built up with newer might, to me are nothing novel, nothing strange. They are but dressings of a former sight. Our dates are brief, and therefore we admire what thou dost foist upon us that is old, and rather make them born to our desire than think that we before. Sorry, there was something you said there which I just lost track of, but then think that we before. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Then think that we before. Okay.
Okay, so take it again from the top.
Okay.
Don't get lost in the language. Stay on the thought, the concrete thought, like it was a smooth running stallion.
Hmm.
If you get lost in the words, you're gonna get thrown off. Stay on that fucking stallion, okay?
Okay.
No matter where it takes you. Okay, here we go.
Okay. No. Time.
Quick breath.
Oh, quick breath.
No. Time.
No. Time. Thou shalt.
Chance, look. Technique-wise, right? Expel all the breath on the no. Don't take so long. No. Time. That takes too long. No. Time. Right? Expel it.
Okay. Okay. No. Time. Thou shalt not boast that I do change. Thy pyramids, built up with newer might, to me are nothing novel, nothing strange. They are but dressings of a former sight. Sorry, let me just try it again. Yeah, no, I knew, right when I went past it, I knew.
That's good. That's good.
Okay.
You're catching it, facing it.
Okay. No. Time. No. Time. Thou shalt not boast that I do change. Thy pyramids, built up with newer might, to me are nothing novel, nothing strange. They are but dressings of a former sight.
Okay, but I like what you're doing with they are, but make sure that you're taking the breath
Yeah.
so that we understand that you're trying to find the right word. that you're investing in, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's not just a breath in a mechanical way. It's a living, yearning, seeking, a breath that in that brief time that it takes to take the breath, you're discovering the right word to use.
Okay.
So all these breaths, all these dramatic suspensions. If there's nothing happening, if you're not taking a breath, then there's no dramatic suspension. Remember that the reason to employ them is to create dramatic suspension. No time. Thou shalt not boast that I do change thy pyramids built up with new might to me are nothing novel, nothing strange. They are but dressings of a former sight. Okay?
Okay. No, time. Thou shalt not boast that I do change thy pyramids built up with newer might. To me are nothing novel, nothing strange. They are but dressings of a former sight. Our dates are brief, and therefore we admire what thou dost foist upon us that is old. I'd rather make them born to our desire than think that we before have heard them told. Thy registers and thee I both defy, not wondering at the present nor the past. For thy records and what we see doth lie, made more or less by thy continual haste. This I do vow, and this shall ever be. I will be true, despite thy scythe and thee.
Okay. So, you said former sight. Yes. And
Yeah.
also the couplet didn't quite have the satisfying resolution that it could have. It wasn't bad. Could have been even more satisfying. I will be true, because you did that, but then you also said, despite thy sight and thee. And it was just broken up a little bit too much.
Yeah.
I will be true, dramatic suspension, dramatic suspension of the tension is growing. I will be true despite thy sith, breath, and thee. Simplify it. And a good exercise sometimes is to just go apeshit with the dramatic suspensions, so that you really get to hear them and understand them.
Okay.
And then you can start stripping away where you employ them. No time thou shalt not boast that I do change. Right? Employing breaths, making sure that you take these breaths. And then you'll start hearing the absurdity of it. And you'll start stripping them away and simplifying. No time, thou shalt not boast that I do change. Thy pyramids, built up with newer might, to me, are nothing novel, nothing strange. They are but dressings of a former sight. And you can even give former and sight equal emphasis, of a former sight. It just sounds awkward, Chance, when you give sight more emphasis, more weight than former. So give them an equal emphasis. I think that would be better, right?
Okay, yeah.
So if you practice that, what you're really doing is practicing this, how you can employ rubato that much more effectively, right? So if you can go through the whole sonnet using a dramatic suspension after every word, and not only will you have a clearer understanding, and a clearer understanding of the whole thing, the sense and also the rhythmic structure, you'll just own it that much more. And you'll be able to simplify it, because once we know something, once we truly know something, you can express it that much more easy, much more simply than if you're still, wrestling with it. What does it mean? How can I really, this is awkward. I'm not really dealing with the awkwardness of it. I've got, every time you come to a certain point and it stays awkward, you've got to get to the point where nothing is awkward anymore. Try it one more time.
Okay.
Shout out everything from where you're going after this class, where you came from. The only thing that matters right now is this text.
Okay. That's asking a lot, Robert.
I know.
Okay. No time.
That was good. That was fine.
Okay. No time. Thou shalt not boast that I do change. Thy pyramids, built up with newer might, to me are nothing novel, nothing strange. They are but dressings of a former sight. Our dates are brief, and therefore we admire what thou dost foist upon us that is old, and rather make them born to our desire than think that we before have heard them told. Thy registers and thee I both defy, not wondering at the present nor the past, for thy records and what we see doth lie, made more or less by thy continual haste. This I do vow, and this shall ever be. I will be true, despite thy scythe and thee.
Okay, so that was going so well. And I can understand why you want to do that with the and.
Okay.
But it's actually much clearer, much simpler if you just say, and thee.
And thee. Okay.
Thy scythe. So I'm saying, I'm going to eat with a fork and knife. I'm going to use the fork and knife. Right?
Right, yeah.
There's no reason to make it more complicated than it needs to be.
Huh, yeah.
So, it's a very good chance, but I don't want you to leave it just yet. Because I want you to pick time in the balls. I want you to just beat the shit out of him in this. I want you to disgrace him. I want you to humiliate him. You're being too kind.
Oh, okay.
Kick ass.
Okay.
And then triumph over him. And see if you can have a vision of yourself with time prostrate on the floor, defeated, and your boot on his neck. I kicked your ass, Time. You don't scare me. You don't scare me. I see what you are. And even though my dates are brief, your fucking Colosseums and your fucking pyramids and your old fucking oligarchical principle doesn't mean shit to me. I defy it. And by defying it, I kick your ass. Because it doesn't. You don't affect me. You don't affect. I don't live in your version of time. I have another concept of time. I live in another space totally than you. So bring it back, okay?
Okay.
But it's really coming along very well. Really, really well. And get more comfortable. See, the more you say it to yourself, the more it lives in you, the more it becomes a part of you. And so some of the awkward places slowly become less and less awkward until they are not awkward at all. Because you know exactly what's being said. So say it to yourself as often as you can. Really think about it until it really becomes, it lives in you totally, and it's yours. And anytime someone says, hey, do that sonnet, you can just pull it out and give it to them in all of its beauty, without laboring it, or without lecturing, or without pointing out the beauty, right?
Yeah.
It will stand on its own, and the beauty will reveal itself of its own by how simply and committed in your attention you are when you do it. Because your preparation is very good. So trust that you can do it. The only thing that your task is now, every time you do it, is to do it again for the first time and be moved by it again for the first time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that actually helped out a lot when you said that in the very beginning.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
All right. Great chance.
Okay. Thank you, Robert.
Good, man. Good work.